Let's now move on to a component that's related to variables, constants. ActionScript 3.0 allows you to define constants for your classes. Constants are special kinds of variables that can be defined only once. Once a constant's value has been assigned, it'll stay the same throughout the application. Thus, it stays constant and thus the origin of its name. Typically, you'll see constants defined with capital letters, as I've done here. So here is the declaration, const. My constant, all uppercase, colon string equals, in this case a string value in quotation marks in the bottom example. This data type is a number, so I just have the number value. Notice the syntax then for declaring a constant is the same as that for declaring a variable, except that you use the const keyword instead of the var keyword. Now, a constant is useful for defining a value that is used in multiple places throughout a project and also a value that will not change. For example, it's much easier to understand the purpose of a line of code that multiplies a number of days by the hours underscore day value than just the number 24. So in other words, if I see in my code multiply hours underscore day by the number of days, it's very clear what that line of code represents rather than just typing 24 times 5. Even more important, let's say that you have a variety of places in a project where you're going to need to multiply a variable, let's say, by the number of hours in a day, rather than having to change that number everywhere every time the constant changes. Let's say, for example, I want to multiply hours per day, hours per week, hours per year, and I want to change that. I need to go through each area in my code or each line in my code that has that number and change it. However, if you set up a constant first and foremost in your script, then you only need to change that constant one time. Let's say that I want to change that from hours per day to hours per 2 days, or hours per week. I just change this simple single constant declaration instead of having to change that value in various places all over my code. So there you have a quick review of both variables and constants. Let's now move on to the next movie and review conditionals, which are those statements that check whether some condition is true or false and then acts on that discovery.